you look a little deeper into the Gallup poll, something very interesting. The Republicans are down to 25% identification. The Republican Party itself is sinking. 38% of Americans say, I'm a conservative. And the number of independents who are conservatives has been growing from about 28% back in 2006 to 35% now. I think what that shows, Larry, is that self-identified conservatives are moving out of the Republican Party and saying, hey, I'm an independent now. That's not good for the Republicans.
It's not, but I mean, I
agree with that.
I got to think that independents and pretty much everybody else in the world was so pissed off at the Republicans, blaming them for the shutdown this summer. Whether they deserve the blame, we could debate that all night. But it happened. The GOP was blamed, and I think a lot of people walked away. Now, Obamacare rescued them, but I think the key point was Ryan wouldn't let this happen again.
But just in terms of digging into the numbers, I think that's a great point, because when you actually look at independents, there are, on both sides, some are Republican-leaning, some are Democratic-leaning. And in fact, both parties have been losing support from their own parties as well as from independents. But there's a bigger point to this, and Karl Rove wrote about this in the Wall Street Journal today about what Republicans need to do to capture independents. Here's the problem. His argument was a general election strategy, not a primary strategy. And so for the Tea Partiers that are upset with that budget deal, Republicans have to figure out a strategy to win independents in the primary process.
I don't see it.
And then come back to the general election.
I think it's a 2014 general election strategy. I think there'll be some isolated Tea Party support. I really believe the Tea Party is going to go along with Bill Buckley's dictum that you vote for the most conservative in the race who can win.
Yeah, you know,
That's what I think.
This is the Democratic story that they're trying to get. There's some war in the Republican Party. The Democrats have a bigger war that they're going to face. You had the very moderate, middle-of-the-road Andrew Cuomo, governor of New York, model. But now here in New York, we've got a mayor, Bill de Blasio, far left. Very far left.
That's true, but we have examples of Tea Partiers primarying Republicans. Dick Lugar. We have a lot of Republican primaries that...
Who?
Senator Lugar.
You're going to
I don't even remember, Dick.
You're going to have far-left Democrats.
We have more examples of this happening.
You're going to have far-left Democrats primarying the moderates.
No, listen to this. No, this is a great point.
I agree.
I call him the Sandinista wing of the Democratic Party. All right? Led by de Blasio and co-led by Elizabeth Warren. Okay?
Yeah, you know,
de Blasio, this guy spent
no relation, by the way.
A lot of time in Nicaragua. Never renounces it. A lot of time in Cuba, never renounces it. I believe he got married in Cuba. He wants to tax the rich. He's against business. He wants to punish success. He could give one hoot about economic growth. And unfortunately, if Obamacare wasn't bad enough, Obama's catching the Sandinista disease also, because he's just going to talk about inequality and punishing successful people. That's where it's going.
But you know, here in New York, Cuomo, the governor, was the towering figure with the gravitas. De Blasio was the newcomer. Now you see Cuomo, the moderate, caving in a little to de Blasio. You and the Democratic Party are going to have a huge war there.
And that's exactly what Republicans ought to go after, this redistributionist welfare state vision of Barack Obama. By the way, the Gallup poll again today had Obama at 39%. This campaign for the Republicans should be against Obama. It should be against the welfare state. Obamacare is part of the welfare state.
That's why
people do not believe in it,
if you would
Larry.
just listen to me, Ryan saved the Republicans from themselves.